Hey everybody. Good morning. Happy St. Patty's Day. Where is that? Right there. Yay. All right. So we started with setting up Next.js. We got that up and running. Then after that, we were able to make some Postman calls to Polygon to just see if the API works and how to do that with authentication using an API key. Today, I'm going to go into how to actually take that route or that API call, put it in Next.js, use the app router, talk a lot about routing. I did some investigation in regards to routing and some of the different ways that we can do routing. And they, like, like every application, they've decided to upgrade. I don't know why the camera's bouncing. Kind of interesting. Anyway, so they used to have a page router. Now they recommend using the app router. I'll explain the differences between the page router and the app router. It's relatively minor. Basically, they moved for, and I'll just talk about it now. Basically, they moved from client components to server components. There's several advantages of using server components, mainly because you can cache and you can do server-side rendering, and then all of that will be consistent and faster, better performance when it hits the client. If you do everything on the client, then you're going to be dealing with some network traffic and latency and some security concerns too. Anyway, so I'm using the app router as they recommend, and I will talk about some of the routing and the way we've set those things up. Uh, one of the things I am excited about is I'm going to have a relatively new setup in regards to uh, screens and cameras and some of that. I probably should close this because this light is probably way too much. So let's kill some of this. There, that's better. All right. Great. Let's get into some code and do this together. It's so much better. Ta-da! All right. So we've already done this, front-end localhost. We made some calls using Polygon. You can look at my previous dailies. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about. The daily. The daily is really hard. I didn't realize how difficult it's going to be to do even 15 minutes every day. Doing anything that consistently is a lot of work. It takes prep time and then it takes a lot of planning. So I don't know, and I apologize now. I don't know what my consistency is going to be, but I will always record this so you can come back and view it and you can slow it down and you can speed it up and you're like, wow, he's just babbling, stop babbling. And you can actually go through all of this code and just jump to the part that you care about. And doing it live just shows you that I'm figuring things out with you. One of the things I want to talk about in my next podcast, and maybe I'll do it tomorrow, is the imposter syndrome. And it's something that everyone talks about, and everyone's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And then the next day you're like, I'm a genius and I've solved everything. That is software development. I hate my job. I can't figure anything out. Everything's blocked. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why they hired me. And then it's like, I solved it. Everything's great. Everything's highly performant and I've scaled. And anyway, that's the nature of computer science in general is you get puzzles. And that's what we do. We solve puzzles. And when we solve a puzzle, then we feel amazing. The reward is incredible. But the moment until that happens is very frustrating. We've all gone through it. We will always go through it. It's the nature of what we do. There are some problems that become very, very mundane. And after doing it as long as I have, you go, hey, this is the problem. And then other people aren't on board yet. And you just have to wait. And hey, this is the right solution. And they're like, oh, but what about Yep, that won't work either, and here's why. Oh, and that won't work either, and here's why. And that's education, right? That's why most of my job in a lot of cases has been about education and teaching. And that is probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in any job is being able to teach. I love teaching, I always have loved teaching. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, my wife was a teacher. Like it's kind of born into me. Um, I love it. I love watching those light bulb moments as students. Probably why I'm doing this right now is I'm learning something and I'm trying to teach it. However, I'm doing this live. I would actually have a much better curriculum, well-rounded. I have taught at General Assembly. I've taught at Bellevue College in the past. Anyway, that's just me babbling about my past, but I like teaching. So if you have questions, please reach out. I'd love to help you. All right. So this is our website and let's get into the code. Oh, let's go in the Postman. Right. We made this call. We had this. Uh, let's see if you can actually, let me come back here. See if this works. Yep. So we had our stock, we have our time period, right? And then we have our start date. Um, let's zoom in. There, start date and end date. So these are variables that we set. And then down here, you'll actually see the results, right? And this is what is coming back from Polygon. Cool. So let's go into the code and I will go into this page, right? So here we go. This is the current website. Let's make sure it is. I love doing things real time. So source. Get started by editing. So let's do this. Save this. Got refreshed. Let's go back here. And hey, it worked. Great. So I'm in the right application. That's all I care about. So let's get rid of that. All right. So let's talk about what they have here. So I am in the app directory. I created a source directory. It's when you set it up, you can actually select, do you want to use a source directory? And I said yes. Anyway, so then we have our app directory. This folder actually contains everything. This is why I'm using the app router because I have this app directory. So if I want to create a new page using the app router, not the page router, I would do something like this. I will do a new folder and I will call it, I don't know, we'll call it dashboards. Dashboards. Great. And now I will create a new file. And what is the name of that file? That new file is page.js. And because I have this wonderful, let's see how good Copilot is. Create a page, page for Next.js, titled dashboard. Great. Nah, it's okay. Except, so there's definitely some things I would do. Export default, and we'll do function, and I will call it dashboards. Will not do this. This seems good. Head title, import head, Next.js head. All of that seems relatively good. Don't need all of that. Yeah, that's fine. There. All right, I think that should do it. So now if I come back here and I do slash dashboards, what did I do wrong? I will call it dashboards. Great. Inspect. It found it. It has a head and the body. I don't think has anything in it. Yeah, there's nothing in it. Great. So we have it. We have a title. My page content goes here. So let's do H1 dashboards. Save. Whoops. There. Dashboards. So great. I created a new page. I created it. It's called dashboards. I created the page.js. And what's really cool about Next.js is it actually handles the route for you automatically as long as you use the naming conventions correctly. If I change this, this is really annoying. If I change this to dashboard and I refresh, it still works. If I change this to John, doesn't. And I come back here, it still works, right? Why? Because it has nothing to do with the function that I'm exporting. As long as there's an export default, it will actually just work. I can call it this and it'll still work, right? Just a hard refresh. So the naming conventions in Next.js that's important is this, the folder, because I'm using the app router, right? So I have a dashboards here, but if I change the name of this, and I will rename this folder to, and I'll just, whoops, I'll just get rid of the S. So now can't find it. If I get rid of the S here, everything works. Kind of like dashboard better. But just for consistency, I like to call it what it actually is. And I'll make that change here. And the truth is I don't even need this. So that means I don't need this. Everything else is the same. But I like to be consistent. So let's do main, whoops, main, and then class name styles main. Oops. No, div style description. Great. And then we will close that. And then I'll close that. And like, whoops. Format that. Come back here. So this should error out. Great. It's because it doesn't know it. So I have to import those styles. So import styles from, and it is the page module. But keep in mind, I'm in a folder, so I want to go up one. So I'm going to go up one to the root and then do page module CSS. And now it just lines it all up better and looks a little better, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Great. So that's how you create pages. And that is how you do routes using routing fundamentals. I had this ready. What do you know? That's how you do routes using the app router. So, and you can actually see up here in the Next.js docs, there's also one called the pages router, right? And there's an app router. I'm using the app router. Why? So let me go to getting started. Yeah, let's just type app router. Incremental adoption. So app router. It introduced a new model for building applications using React's latest features, such as server components, streaming with suspense, and server actions. What's cool about that is you can actually do it just built straight in Next.js, which is really nice. Export default page. This is your default page. We've already seen this. So in the code, you'll actually already see the pages. All right. So I'm getting a little bit into the routes, and you can talk about layouts and how layouts actually will inherit from children. If you're familiar with React, uh, all it is props being passed down. It's really easy. You have your children, and all the children go into it. Next.js handles so much of that for you. All right, but let's get back to what we're actually doing. So one of the things I did prior to this is I created a new page, and I called it JMan just because why not? And what this does is make a super simple call to this website. And everyone's like, what's this website? All right, this website is just a way to get some fake JSON data. It's really cool. You can actually come here and it'll tell you all the different ones that you can do posts, comments, albums, photos, to-dos, users, right? Click on users, it'll give you a list of users. Is this the schema that you're going to use for your database? Maybe. It doesn't really matter. We're just testing out, can we get JSON data? It's really fast. It allows you to do it pretty quickly. Here are all the updates, and it has gets, posts, puts. You can actually, all methods are supported. You can actually create your own here. It's pretty nice. I just wanted to get, whenever you need some fake data, uh, and it's free. Yeah, I'm a big fan of fake data just to make sure that we can go forward with it. And this is a great way to do it. All right, so now that we have some fake data, and I have a function called call API, because what are we doing? We're calling an API. And let's talk about what I'm doing down here. Here, I'll zoom it in a little bit. And we don't need all of this stuff. Great. So in here, we'll get to this. This is an async call, and async down here. So so on the load of this, I am actually waiting for the API, and then I'm populating. See, I wait, it gets the data, and then it actually populates, right? Note I'm doing use client. What does that mean? That means this is no longer a server component. This is a client component. There are some challenges of doing a client component, specifically around security. But let's see what this actually does. So if I go here and I go into, and I think I called it JMan, I have data. If I click this, nothing happens. Why? Mainly because this state isn't changing, right? I have to use state and then update it, and we can go into that. So, however, if I refresh this page, you'll get new values. And if I actually watch the network traffic on this, and we'll click on network, and I'm going to clear this. And let's refresh. And you can see all the calls. So it made this call, this call, this call, and this call, right? And all of these are actually doing random calls to update this text. So let's see which one it actually used. 4, 5, 10. It looks like it did one even before this. Title. I'm looking at title. So what I'm looking at is I'm trying to find this in one of these calls, unless they're actually really, really random. But they're not, because 1 and 1 are still the same. All right, let's see. Let's try it again. Right, it updated it. 1, So that was 8. Anyway, you get the point. So what's happening is it's calling this, doing a random number, fetching the data, and then returning it. But this await call right here is waiting for the response of this. So when this response, then it will actually finish rendering the page. If it wasn't localhost and it wasn't this fast, you would actually see a loading because the data is not currently populated when it renders, which is actually a really cool thing you can do. But let's make the API actually work, right? So let's bring this back. Boom, Explorer, JMan, and about. So in the about, yeah, we're not there yet. And there's a route, and I have tickers, and I've already done a lot of this work. So I'm going to explain. Let's actually fix this so it actually has a state so we can see the state change. So use state. Whoa, it had it. Use state. Yep. So great. And now I'm going to need a state for get data. I think I did that. Let's make sure. Am I doing use client? Yeah. And then we'll do, let's see. What is it called? Data. So let data equal. Wait, let. I want to see. Let's see. Call API. Site data. Oops. Site data equal use state, and it is going to be yeah, I forgot how to do that. Ah, man, it's been a while. Let's figure that out. Use state Next.js. Use state hook Next.js. Yeah, we know what it is. That's where I need it. But we don't want it here. We want it here. Yeah, but we want, let's see, and set data, and this is going to be data, and use state equal, comma, call API. There. And then we'll do current data. Why did that give me an error? Yeah. Did I not do that right? How do you state with Next.js? Yeah. You state So many different ways to do things. Where's use state? Wait, get docs, map, get static props. And use state, but you're not leveraging that. Wait, get docs. I don't know. Yeah, it needs to be inside the component. Yeah, we know. I will do that at another time. Let's make this back to data. All right. Cool. All that's working. Make sure this is still working. It is. Great. Okay. Yeah, I don't need that anymore. Okay. Oh, dogs. All right. So let's get into how to make a route call. So I created an API route here. So when I was talking about the routes in this, so the routes in this will allow you to actually route handling, redirecting. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Data fetching, here it is. Boom. And it shows you how to actually make those calls. They're actually doing it directly in the component, which is sure, that's great, but I want something that will actually interact with the user, right? So I want the user to be able to insert a stock symbol. So if they can insert a stock symbol, then they should be able to get that data. So I originally, before I get into this, uh, I created my about page. And what I originally did is I had a call here that was directly to Polygon. And I'm going to show you that page right now. Right. So by having this page directly on Polygon, I was able to make that call directly and I would get the data and then I would set the post data. Right. So that's really good. Oh, there's the, I know, I was like, I did the use state somewhere. It's right in here. So this is in the about page. I'm setting the state right here, use state from React, and I'm passing it set post data, right, of whatever is being returned. Well, what I was originally doing is making a call directly from the client. See, I'm doing use client up here, directly from the client to Polygon. And everyone's like, well, that seems fast and efficient and great. Yes. However, because I'm making a call to an API that is authorized, I would actually have to put my API key on the client. Don't ever do that. That's horrible. It's just not secure. It is not a bad practice. It is a you should never do practice. That means people would have access to your API key and could do things that would probably charge you money or potentially use it for malicious purposes. And then hopefully whoever the third party is that you're doing that API key will turn you off because somebody is using your API key in a non-nice way. It only takes one bad actor to destroy a system. Yeah, that's true for everything. All right, so now what I've done is I've created, and I'm using localhost in this case. So I've created a API route that actually hits the server, which is great. So to do that in Next.js, you have this API folder, and then under that, you have whatever you want to call your API route. In my case, I'm going to call it tickers. Why? Because it makes sense. So then I create a route.js. So then in here, yeah, I don't even need this anymore. It's really nice. So in here, what I'm doing is, and keep in mind, I'm using JavaScript, not TypeScript. I can type safe all of this by using TypeScript. Next.js does support that. Uh, I'm just using basic JavaScript. So this is what I meant. So right here, I have my Polygon API key. And I have stored that in a .env file that I am not going to show you. Mainly because I don't want to have to reset it every time I do a live stream. So I have my Polygon API key. I make that call. Everything's wonderful. But what I'm doing, what I'm doing is actually passing the query string. I'm passing the ticker symbol from this page right here to the local host. So if I go into my about page, right, you can see I'm getting the document.get element by ID, ticker, and then just adding it to the query string. Super simple. And this is an async await. So I'm waiting to get the response back, and then I will actually update these results. So then when I come over here, I have this call passing in the ticker. I have hard coded the range just for the sake of this call, and I'm passing in the API headers that I have defined up here using the environment, process environment. A lot of times when you deploy something, you can actually use environment variables to actually secure things, so you don't actually have to check in your code, which is great. You should never check in a API key. You should never check in passwords. If everyone's like, oh, but I removed it from my Git. If there's a password in your Git, you can go through your history, someone can pull it up, and that password will still be there. It's really hard to remove things from Git. There's ways to do it, but it's just not worth it. Don't don't check in secrets into your Git repository. All right. So now that I have this, using that, it's reading the response and it's JSON. Yay. I've actually specified up here the content type for application to JSON. I was using this random thing right here based off of these stocks. I'll put this back just so you can see it. Because I wanted to see if it would actually rotate. Keep in mind, Polygon has a limit on how many times I can make a call in a minute, just because I'm on the free one. And I was like, oh, I hit that limit because I just kept on clicking. I wanted to see what happened. All right, so let's see if this works. Let's enter a symbol. I don't know. We'll do Amazon. And I click on fetch data. And there we go. And I got the close price. And what's really cool, see that symbol? That's the random symbol that was being logged based out of these. So let's pick one that's not in here. I don't know. Let's think of a stock. Top stock symbols with ticker symbols. There we go. ExxonMobil. So I come back here, type in this, and that's what it closed at. Now, just because you got that data back, let's see if that's correct. So then let's go into Yahoo Finance, because everyone loves this one. Oh, wow, what a mess. All right, let's just type in the symbol. XOM, stock price, close. So that's today, and I want to see what it closed at. And remember, I hard-coded the dates. So let's change these dates to yesterday, 03 15 2024 3 15. There we go. So now if I save this, and these are other parameters that we can potentially pass through this route. So it should be right around 111.27 because yesterday that was aftermarket. Let's see. It closed at 111.29. So now if I come back here and I fetch the data, 111.27. Great. So that seems correct now. Let's check. Let's find another stock. Here. BP. And the symbol is BP. And let's see what we're expecting. Close market. Yep, great. I want it. So 3749 is what we're searching for. So let's see if that's right. Fetch data. 3749. Great. So this call is now working and we have this, which is really nice. And now we have an API that is protected because if I come here and I inspect, and I can even look at the call. So console sources network. And I'm going to make that call again just so we can see it. So now it actually made that call. And let's look at the header. Is there an authorization key? There is not. Right? So that protects me, kind of. That protects me from exposing my API key and not being used. What I can do now is, and look, I have a strict origin, right? So, but what I can do now is implement a role-based security that makes sure the session is set up. I can use various security mechanisms to actually lock this down. I could have them require a login to actually enter this. I can make sure that their key, their cookie setting or whatever I'm using has a JWT, JavaScript web token. That web token will then get verified on the back end. That back end will then make the call. Because otherwise, I don't want somebody spamming my site that will then spam the back end site that would be authenticated. So you need to have these different levels of authentication implemented throughout it, which is really cool. And now that we have this, and look at the layout, I can clean up these things and clean up this for sure. Should I do that? Yeah, let's do that. So now we have the back end working. We have an API call. Let's play with the fun stuff. Back-end development is where all the data comes from. It's how you manage security. It's how you manage so many different things. If you are only doing client-side validation, you are not creating a secure site. You must do a server level protection in regards to that. There's two things I want to do actually. The first is, remember I was doing the use state here? So I want to actually fix this one so it actually does the same thing. And it's really easy. I just forgot. How's that for honesty? I just straight up forgot. So I'm going to import that from here. And all of that is now good. And then I want to set this constant as part of this in here. And we will, wait, what? It's called a function. It's neither a React function component. Uppercase letter. Oh, there. Wait, what? What did I do wrong? Nope. Pretty sure I did that right. So let's come back here. This should be here. That can be right in there. What is it going crazy about? Prevent client components from being async functions. Oh. Let's put this back up here. So that is this This is a use client. This is a function. Oh, this is not async. Oh, got it. Post data. Right. Okay. I was like, that's not right. Yeah, we don't care about this. That should be fine. That should be fine. And because we're using state now, I can do this, put this in here, and that should be fine. Yep. Great. And then if I do this right and I click on this, I want to make sure fetch data, set post data. Yeah, but where is fetch data being called? On click. Great. Which is basically what I want to do down here. So we'll just do call API. Don't need this. But call API. And that all seems right. Set post data. So then I come over here and let's see what we got for post data. So yeah, we're setting the post data because that's the call to actually update the state. So the actual rest of the components will get updated. So all I need to do is add that call. So I'm going to have a fetch data and a set post data. So I'm going to have a call API. And then in here, I don't need to return it. I just need to set post data, data. And that should actually do it. So now if I go into JMan, data is not defined. Wait, what? What did I forget? Fetch data, post data. Oh. Yeah. Post data, post data, post data, post data. Great. So you see how it's saying, oh, this is actually really cool. So if I were to make that call directly on the load of the page, you would see these loading things. So now if I click this, it should work, but it doesn't. Let's see what's happening. Call API. Call API, Mathlore, data. Oh, I don't need that. It should just be that. There we go. And now it'll go through all of them. So the change that I had to make is the response is different, right? The response from the other one had a subcomponent called data. This one does not. And all of this is now working. And if I make that API call, great. And if I want to set it to something initially, here's what's really cool. I can actually do that. And I will do. And my starting title. And then the body will be the body will be my current body text. So now if I refresh this with nothing, it'll have some initial values. That's all that does. And then when I make a call, it'll update it. Right. And there's how you use state. So we covered a lot today. So that covers the use state. That actually covers the routes. Keep in mind, I am using the app router. I am not using the page router. The page router is different, and that is in a previous version of Next.js. It's the same kind of concept, however, it uses client components as default, and the way that would be, it would be parallel to where the app is. So if I come back here and you're like, what does that mean? So in here, we have a source and we have an app directory. I would create under source, I would create a new folder and I will call it pages. And that is where pages would go if I was using the page router. But now with the new thing, I don't need that, which is nice. So I can get rid of pages. If I want to create a new page, I can literally just create it right under the app. I will need to have a folder, and then under that, I will have a path. For APIs, I generally put my APIs under the API, and then I will have the route underneath that. So let's look at that. And keep in mind, this is a route.js file. This is not a page.js file. This is what I was using to actually make that call to Polygon. And as you can see, this is a get with a request object, and the request object literally is reading the ticker. Oops, is reading the ticker right here from the post. I mean, from the get command. I could have made it a post, and then we could have read it from the body, and that would be fine. But it's not the goal of today. All right. So let's see. We have a new dashboard page. All right, and this is how you create a new page. And here's the other thing. So I can import styles here, or I can actually do this. I can do dashboard dot module dot css. I can actually do Sass, I believe. And I will do here. Let's see, what's a class I have? We'll do an H1, and we'll give it a class name of dashboard title. Great. And then here I will do dashboard title. Make it a class name. And we'll make the color different because that's the easiest thing you can see. Dashboard title module Sass. So then in here, I should be able to import style. Dash styles. Dashboard module CSS. Not CSS, Sass. Great. I haven't used Sass yet. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I wrote CSS without using Sass. All right, we're going to clean up some stuff, and we're going to do that because I love front-end development. It's a lot of fun, and you get to play with things, and you get to see immediate responses. All right, so we're going to do this. And it even tells you run install Sass, right? So let's do that. npm install Sass. Great. So now Sass is installed. Now this should work. npm run dev. I am back running. Everything seems good. You see how it does the .env? It's because it's loading my Polygon API. Just want to call that out. All right. So now I have a Sass file, which is great. And really, if you're going to use Sass, everything should be Sass. Sass. That's going to be an error. This needs to be Sass. And there's the page one, and this should be Sass. Great. And now I have to fix the imports. Sass. Layout. Sass. Great. Page. Oh, great. About. SAS. And I think I did it here too. Yep. SAS. Cool. Happy times. It's resolving. I got SAS errors. Expected new line. What? And what is this page module? Oh, do I need SCS? Sorry. That's my bad. SCSS. SCSS. Great. Yeah. Now I gotta fix all of these again. Page. SC. SC. JMan. SC. Great. Module found in global, so that's on layout. SC. Oops. And SC. JMan page. See, dashboard. I think I got them all. Oh, nope. All right, so now we have that. Let's see if yeah, let's make sure this still works. Yeah, great. Let's come back to the root. Everything's looking great. That's what's really cool about SAS. It's basic CSS. It just gives you, it's a superset of CSS. Just gives you more functionality when you do it. So now that I'm here, I have a dashboard title. It's going to look like that. And then if I come into here and I'm using dash styles, and rather than do this, I should do dash styles dot dashboard title. Oops. And that. And now if I go into dashboard, see, and I'm going to see if I can do both of these together. So watch. Wait, what just happened? I want to come here. I want to move this down so I can see things. Great. And we're going to play with some CSS because CSS is fun. Let's move this over so you can see both. All right. So if I want to change a color to something crazy, that, and I save it, there you go. Let's make the font size 120. Right. Generally, when you're doing, well, let's cover some basic CSS stuff. And we can actually use this dashboard page as the test. Open to the side. Great. And I don't need any of this, so you can see everything. let's make sure you can see everything. That should be enough. Yeah, we'll do it like that. All right, so in here, if I wanted, I'm going to do an H2 and I'll do a class name. Actually, I'm going to give this one an ID just so you can see some of the basics. And we'll call it dashboard subtitle. That's perfect. Great. So there, you have the welcome to the dashboard. But now if I want to dashboard subtitle, do that. I should do a dash. And so I did a dot, right? So a dashboard subtitle, and this is an ID. So this isn't getting applied. Why is that not getting applied? Because that's an ID and not a class. And all classes start with dots, and all IDs start with hashtags. So now when I save it, dashboard subtitle, hey, that should work. Oh, duh. Why is this not working? Even though I gave it that exact name, it's because it doesn't know where this is coming from, right? Because I'm importing dash styles as something specific. So rather than actually hard coding it, I would want to pass in the object of dash styles, and then I want to give it the dashboard subtitle, dashboard subtitle. Oh, I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, that won't work because that's an ID. If I do class name, and I give this a dot, and that should be, we'll do subtitle there. So that worked. So we understand how to do classes. Let's make this a little bigger. All right, so now let's do this with an ID and import that. All right, so we're going to give it an ID. ID equals, and we'll do dashboard subtitle. And that is an actual ID. And I want to give it the ID here. And we'll do dashboard subtitle. And we'll do color red, just because that always stands out. All right, so now I have an ID here, which IDs are, CSS is always about specificity. So in this case, I would actually go and have a higher level of specificity because it's ID. So it generally goes let me think, tag, then class, and then ID, and then the important overrides everything. You should never use important. If you're using important, you're probably doing something wrong. But I'm wondering why this ID here. Let's look it up. So Next.js ID in CSS. Import CSS modules. Yep. If you don't want to use classes, yeah. Oh, I guess I'd have to import it. Yeah. I was wondering about that. All right, so let's do that. So I'm going to come here, and rather than do this, I can simply do this. Yeah. And now it doesn't know anything, but now I can treat it like this. That'll solve that. And this will solve the class name. And open the dashboard. Great. So import dash module CSS. That should be good. That should be good. And I think what's happening is yeah, if I wanted this fails if pure elements have pseudostates. That's correct. Try giving a class name or ID. That's garbage too. It doesn't work like that. um, yeah, that's not how that works. Styling CSS. Yeah, this is great for class names. But how do you do not using Tailwind? Oh, Sass. Yeah, we love Sass. Yay. For example, primary color. Yeah, yeah. We'll get into this. So you can actually do variables using Sass, and you can do a lot of, and it actually recommends using it in a module, and you can actually import your variables into your global. So that actually will, here, I'll do one. So I come back here, and I will create a global page, and we'll call a variable one, right? So I'm going to create a new page at the app level, new file, and we will call it variables.module.scss, right? And I will give it a primary color. Um, sure. That's great. We'll do secondary color. We don't want it to be the same. We'll do that's too many. Perfect. So now if I come in here and I do an import, right? That should be fine. And then I will do color here, color, primary color, right? And all that did was allow me to import the variables into here. Let's use one that actually means something. Background color, code, grid, card, transition. Actually, let's see if that actually did anything. So if I come here, create here, here, yeah, it did. So there's a primary color. If I change that to secondary color, and I save it, you can see everything changed, right? It makes it a lot easier to actually control all of your styling and brands. You can set up entire themes so you have one variable that you will go and change your variables and then everything else will work. But I want to figure out why I can't do an ID, which is a little frightening. So let's go back to dashboard. Great. And it's inheriting from the global, which is great. So why can't I uh, use ID in uh, Next.js CSS? Selector is not pure. Yeah, we know. Head is not pure. Pure selectors must contain at least one local class or ID. Right, and I'm trying to do a local class. You cannot use impure selector. Yeah, I'm not using primary tags. Oh, so that's something to call out. So if you're going to do tags like body, H1, all of that, so at that level, that needs to be in the global, period. So if you look at this, and I will come down to root, secondary, no cares, media, here, these kind of things. You see how they don't have a dot or they don't have a hashtag in front of it? Dots will be classes, hashtags will be IDs. But as you can see here, these are just what we call pure elements. These pure elements can only be at the top level in the global. That's something Next.js. It's something they're opinionated on, which is fine. All right. But I should be able to reference an ID. How do I reference an ID in Next.js? How do I reference a CSS ID in Next.js? CSS modules. Yeah, they can be imported. Great. We understand classes, global styles. Right. External style sheets, no one cares. Tailwind. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not using Tailwind. CSS and JS. Yeah, don't do that. Save dev, Sass variables. Right, all of that works. And no, that wasn't helpful. 4 ways to add CSS styles to your Next.js project. Using objects. Yeah, that's fine. I want an ID. Oh yeah, don't do inline CSS. Yes, this is how you should be doing it. You should be using a page module. Yeah, but how do you reference an ID? Here, let's do this. How do I reference? How do I reference an ID from CSS in Next.js? Yep. Styles.myid, but what? Yeah. Last name equal my ID. I don't think this is right, but I'm gonna try it. All right, so let's do it. Sorry, I had to make it give me a little real estate to play with. All right, so it's here, and I'm gonna put this back. And it said to reference it by my ID. I don't believe that's right. I think they're wrong. But, so I'm going to import styles, dash styles from here. Welcome to dashboard. Great. But I have a dashboard subtitle. So what if I get rid of this one? Are they overriding each other? No, so that's the default. That's not doing jack. All right. So that does not reference the ID. It uses the class instead. This is very you directly applying the ID. ID will be applied to the element. I think you're wrong, but we'll try it. So we're going to do class name. And it is not dashboard subtitle. Nope. Uh, my ID styles are not applied in Next.js. Slightly different use case, styles override. Yeah, they're really big on not using IDs. IDs in CSS not applied in Next.js. Styling tips. Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I know generally you shouldn't be using IDs and you should be doing it a different way. Yeah, that's all good. Plus pre-rendering. Okay, I'm gonna come back here. Start now. Download start code. No. Oh man, so much stuff. Oh, this is interesting. You cannot use IDs and then refer to those in the module of the related workaround. It's put the ID in the global. Putting IDs there, it works the same. Wow, is that true? Well, that's what I'm encountering. So let's see if that guy is right. So I'm going to take this, get rid of, and put it in the global. Wow, you can't use IDs at. That sucks. Well, I understand. You shouldn't be using IDs because that level of specificity means you're doing something wrong. It's almost like using the important tag, but there are times that you actually need to do that. All right, that was a lot of work just to get to that solution. Um, all right, so that was a bunch for today. I am going to stop on that note. That was frustrating. Wow, it's been an hour 15. I'm gonna go. I want to see if everything's. Is anybody here? Yeah, nobody's here. Cool. That was me getting started. We actually have routes. I covered some basic CSS. I'll probably do more CSS tomorrow. Um, a lot of fun today. That's it. Yeah. Hi. Um, tomorrow I might have a different setup in regards to cameras and things like that. But other than that, all is good. And I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks for tuning in and see you tomorrow.